doing nothing is not wasting time. There are days when you sit quietly and do nothing. No big plan, no clear goal, no list to complete, no message to answer right away. Just you, sitting somewhere familiar, watching the light move across the room, listening to the small sounds around you, letting the day pass without trying to control every part of it. And for some reason, even in that quiet moment, guilt appears. A small voice inside you says, you should be doing something. You should be working. You should be learning. You should be improving. Anything but sitting still, because somewhere along the way, many of us learned to measure the value of a day by how much we produced. If we finished many tasks, it was a good day. If we stayed busy, it meant we were responsible. If we were tired by the end of the night, it meant we had done enough. But if the day was quiet, if nothing visible happened, if there was no result to show, we started calling it wasted time. Maybe that is why rest feels so uncomfortable, not because we do not need it, but because we have been taught to feel guilty for needing it. There is a strange pressure in modern life to always become something more, a better version of yourself, a more disciplined person, a more successful person, a more interesting person, a person with better habits, better routines, better goals, better mornings, better evenings. And of course, growth can be beautiful. It is good to learn. It is good to try. It is good to care about your life. But when every quiet moment becomes something you feel the need to optimize, life starts to feel less like living and more like managing a project. Even rest becomes another task. You do not just rest, you have to rest correctly. You have to meditate. You have to journal. You have to stretch. You have to drink enough water. You have to listen to the right podcast. You have to turn your relaxation into another form of self-improvement. And sometimes that is not rest. Sometimes that is just productivity, wearing softer clothes. Real rest is not always beautiful. It is not always a candle, a book, and a perfect cup of tea beside a clean window. Sometimes, real rest is lying on the sofa and staring at the ceiling, only realizing later that hours have already passed. Doing nothing can look empty from the outside, but inside, something is happening. Your mind is slowing down. Your body is catching up. Your nervous system is learning that it is safe to stop. Your thoughts are untangling themselves without being forced. Not every important thing in life looks productive. A tree does not grow faster because someone is watching it. Rain does not fall because someone is asking for it. A mountain does not move anywhere, but it never looks meaningless. Nature does not seem to be in a hurry to prove its worth, but people do. We feel like we have to earn our rest, as if we are only allowed to be still after we have suffered enough, worked enough, achieved enough, or given enough to everyone else. But maybe rest is not a reward. Maybe rest is part of being alive. There are moments when doing nothing is exactly what you need. Not because you are lazy, not because you lack ambition, not because you have given up, but because you are human. And humans are not machines. We are not designed to run endlessly without pause, without silence, without empty space. Even music needs silence between the notes. Even a conversation needs pauses. Even a poem needs space between the lines, so its meaning can slowly take shape. So why do we expect ourselves to keep moving all the time? Sometimes stillness, or simply stepping away from everything for a while, gives your mind the space to speak. Doing nothing gives you a chance to notice the life you are actually living, not just the life you are trying to build. It lets you ask quiet questions. Am I tired, or am I just bored? Do I really want this, or am I chasing it because everyone else is? When was the last time I felt peaceful without needing a reason? What have I been avoiding by staying busy? These questions do not usually arrive when we are rushing. They arrive in the spaces between things. While waiting for water to boil, while sitting alone in the evening, while watching rain fall against the window, while lying in bed before sleep, while doing absolutely nothing useful. And maybe those moments are not useless at all. Maybe they are where we finally hear ourselves again. There is also a kind of quiet creativity that only appears when we stop forcing it. Some ideas do not come when we are staring at a screen, demanding answers from ourselves. They come when we are walking slowly, when we are washing dishes, when we are sitting without a plan, when our mind is allowed to wander without being dragged back into a schedule. Doing nothing creates space, and space is not empty. Space is where things breathe. A crowded room can be full of furniture and still feel uncomfortable. A simple room with open space can feel peaceful. The same is true for a life. A life can be full of tasks, goals, messages, plans, and achievements, but still feel heavy. Sometimes, what we need is not more. Sometimes what we need is room. Room to think. Room to feel. Room to change slowly. Room to exist without performing. There is a softness in allowing a day to be simple, waking up without rushing, eating slowly, letting the house stay quiet, watching your pet sleep, sitting near a window, letting your phone stay on the table for a while, not turning every minute into something useful. At first, it may feel strange. You may still feel the urge to check something, fix something, prove something. But after a while, the quiet begins to feel less like emptiness and more like relief. You realize that the world does not fall apart just because you stopped for a moment. You realize that not every hour needs to be impressive. You realize that you are still worthy, even when you are not producing anything. That is something many of us forget. We begin to believe our value comes from what we do, how much we finish, how much we earn, how much we improve, how much we are needed, how much we can handle without breaking. But there is a part of you that existed before all of that, before the job title, before the responsibilities, before the expectations, before the pressure to become someone impressive. There was simply you, and that version of you did not need to be useful to deserve care. Doing nothing helps you return to that truth. It reminds you that life is not only about becoming. Sometimes life is about being here, being quiet, being present, being enough without adding anything more. Of course, we cannot do nothing forever. Life has responsibilities. There are bills to pay, people to care for, work to finish, promises to keep. Doing nothing for a while does not mean you are running away from life. It is about not letting life become only responsibility. It is about giving yourself small pockets of stillness so you can return to the world with a little more patience, a little more clarity, and a little more kindness toward yourself. Because when you never stop, you may still keep going, but you may stop feeling connected to the reason you are going at all. You may become efficient, but distant from yourself. You may become productive, but tired in a way sleep alone cannot fix. You may keep checking things off a list while quietly wondering why the days feel so thin. Sometimes, the answer is not to do more. Sometimes the answer is to stop long enough to feel your own life again. So if today you did not do much, maybe you do not need to punish yourself for it. Maybe your body needed a quiet day. Maybe your mind needed space. Maybe your heart needed a break from trying to be strong. Maybe nothing visible happened because something invisible was being restored. Not every form of progress can be measured. Some healing looks like silence. Some clarity looks like stillness. Some growth looks like finally allowing yourself to rest without explaining why. The world will always give you another task, another goal, another reason to hurry, another reminder that you could be doing more. But you are allowed to have moments that belong to no one else. Moments with no performance, no productivity, no proof. Just a quiet room, a slow breath, a little bit of sunlight, a life that does not need to be impressive every second to be meaningful. Doing nothing is not always wasting time. Sometimes doing nothing is how you remember that time is not only something to spend wisely, it is also something to feel. And maybe the fact that you spent a few minutes with this video does not mean you were looking for some great answer. Maybe you simply wanted one small moment where you did not have to do anything more than be here, to sit quietly, to let the day be simple, to let yourself be human, and to trust that even in stillness, life is still happening.